welcome to today's episode of Basecamp series on the Matt Stream Outside YouTube channel. Today, this time, unlike my last episode, we're actually going to be going over 3 ways to pitch a tarp. So, let me get the tarp out of my backpack. Actually, before I do that, step number 1, which I seem to not be so great with lately, before you even get the tarp out, the first thing you want to do is get a ridge line going. I'm going to untie this. Alright, so I'm going to come over to this tree right here. Tie a simple knot. I'm not the greatest at paracord knots. I'm better at fishing knots, so what you gonna do? Aim the camera at the next one. Gonna walk right across here. Try to keep the paracord level. Twice. Bring this back and really just tie some sort of knot. Kind of loose. Let's see if we can tighten that up. Alright, bring the camera over to take a look at my little knots. Alright. So, I got this ridge line set up. Time to get the tarp out. I'm going to go ahead and straighten this tarp across here by the center lengthwise. Really trying to center it right by the center seam. Now all I need is some stakes, maybe some guy lines, depending on how the bottom of the tarp may or may not reach. We're gonna try for the stakes first. And go to all four corners. Little stakey stake. Now I'm gonna go to the opposite corner. Then I'm gonna do the same thing. 2 more stakes to go. All right, I'm gonna put a stake in the center and do one more little, I'm gonna put some stakes in the center of the tarp. I have stakes on all 4 corners now. I'm gonna put a stake in the center, and then there's one more little trick I'll show you with this ridge line. So far though, it's looking pretty good, but I'm gonna make it look better. So this is the first and most well-known way to set up an A-frame tarp. I have the 4 corners staked. I can't stake the center because it's too icy. It's literally just ice right there. So I have the 4 corners staked. The first thing you do, like I showed, is you put up a ridge line, and there's different ways you can go about ridge lines and different knots. The other trick I used is I made some toggles. So right here I didn't quite do a normal knot, so I ended up having to use this and another piece of cord, bring it back to this tree, and I'll show you the other toggle. So over here I made more of a proper knot, and what I was able to do with this type of knot is take this toggle on that loop from the tarp, just put it through there. And what those toggles do on that ridge line is it keeps the ridge line and the tarp from sagging down on the center so that your tarp is pitched nice and high. Once again, all 4 corners, just not the center. If it was really windy, you would want to try to stake out the center if you could. It's a nice spacious shelter under here right now. I can literally just crawl under, standing up, if I don't slip. Like, I'm walking, I'm not even, like, this is a great shelter. So, depending on your size of the tarp, but depending on your tarp size, it may or may not be the best shelter, but like every video you can find says, this is a good shelter for wind, rain, and light snow. It's definitely not a shelter you would want to use in heavy snow. So let's move on to the second pitch. The fancy thing about the way I have these toggles, tied, is all you do to undo the toggles when you're disassembling is that. Taking a quick play break so Daisy doesn't get cold. Come here, Dee. Come on. Got your stick. Stick. Get the stick. Go get the stick. Get the stick, Daisy. All right, we'll try a different stick. She thinks it's up in the tree. Let's take two. Daisy. I think we need a bigger stick. How big is this? She's splitting wood now. You gonna go get this stick? Alright, I think we're gonna go with this branch so she doesn't get any sharp points. Walking over ice. Come on, Daisy. Give me the stick. Good girl. Alright. Alright, this next pitch is not perfect, but it gets the idea across. Normally, it would be easier to use a pitch like this on hills. I had to do some very wonky things. This is basically the floating A-frame. And if you know anything about hammocks, camping, and pitching a tarp diamond style, it's similar to this. The issue with that is it's extremely susceptible to wind. And as you see, my stake and toggle system just blew out of that corner. So if you do use the floating A-frame, I suggest refraining from it on windy days. It's not a great system because the higher up it gets, the more susceptible it will be to the wind. Going to be honest right now, this is not the intended third setup. I'm having trouble remembering the third setup, and the wind picking up is not helping. I want to make sure my dog doesn't get too cold. The temperature is definitely dropping. I'm not going to show the third setup because I don't have it right. I'm going to have to refresh my brain on the third A-frame setup and maybe make it a part 2 video. I slipped on the ice over here. So here's a little tip. Make sure when you're setting up a shelter, you're not doing it on this ice. I slipped downhill and fell that way. I may or may not have lost a stake. So, yeah. Apparently this Basecamp series is turning into like a catastrophe series or something. And be on the lookout for more videos. And feel free to drop it in the comments what you want to see. Do you want to see more of this Basecamp series? And if you do, what do you want to see on it? On top of that, just any outdoorsy stuff you want to see, leave it in the comments. Thank you if you leave a like, thank you if you comment, and thank you if you subscribe. Have a great day or night. I lost my silver stake because I had 4 reds and 2 silvers, and unfortunately, there's just way too much snow to find what on earth happened to it. So if it rains or the snow melts, I'm going to have to come in and look. Also, I guess silver stakes are not a good color to use in the wintertime.